So we're going to just sketch out where we think the footprint of our building might actually be located. And let's say it's somewhere in this area here. Right, that'd be the front of it, and we're going to just create a rectangle. We don't really know exactly the size of this building and exactly where it's going to be located, but we can get a pretty good estimate that it's somewhere in that location. As we calculate the number of parking spaces we have and what the local ordinance will allow, we come to find out that, well, hey, it looks like we could possibly get another building, and it'll be a small building, but we could get another building somewhere in this location up in here. And that would begin to maximize the square footage that we could get on this site. And so we're just going to darken that in so we get an idea. This is approximately where we want to put our building. Right, and we're going to do the same thing up here. We have another small building that can go up here, and we're going to have to figure out a tenant that's going to fit in that. Next, we begin to analyze then circulation on the site. Pedestrian circulation, there is a sidewalk that runs along Columbia, and the community is going to try to encourage us to bring pedestrian circulation into our site, and our developer wants that as well. So there's likely going to be sidewalk around our building, at least on one side of our building. Vehicular circulation becomes perhaps our larger challenge. What are we going to do when we get vehicles on the site? We've already talked about how we're going to get them on and off through these two driveways, and we're not going to use access over here. Which reminds me, we really ought to close that off with our barrier. We're required to put a barrier along here. But it becomes rather clear that when we were looking at the building code, one way that we made the area allowance get larger was by sprinkling, but it still wasn't quite enough to get the maximum square footage that we could get on the site given the parking we thought we could accomplish. So the building code allows us a second method to do that, and the second method is to provide vehicular access for emergency vehicles all the way around the building. And we're going to take them up on that and utilize that. And so consequently, we need to get a drive somewhere that's going to go all the way around our building. We're just going to dash that in at this point with a nice bright color. And this will be our circulation around the building. And again, we don't really know precisely where this drive is going to go, but we get an idea. So we have to stay on our property, and we're going to need to get a turn in here, and this turn is going to have to accommodate emergency vehicles, and we'll probably come down as far as we can. We'll give it a turn aligning back up this direction. Now remember, we're up against a railroad track on the south side, and we don't have any buildings back here, so we don't have a setback that we have to respect. By the way, our surveyor has done us a favor, and on the topographical survey, he's gone ahead and dotted in. You can see them here. This is our setback. And the setback is a setback for buildings. Now, if we look carefully at the zoning ordinance, which you always want to make sure you study the zoning ordinance carefully. The zoning ordinance tells us that we are permitted to have our parking closer to our property line than our building. And so you'll see across the front of here we have a setback located. And that's a building setback, and we're plenty clear of that. But they are going to allow us to have our parking come in closer. That'll be up in here. So a curb for the parking can come actually quite a bit closer to the right of way. And we're just going to make sure we remember that this is our circulation, interior circulation for vehicles. Get this marked in here for us.